Your childhood unfolds in a $40 million chateau in Geneva. The air is always crisp, the lawns are immaculately manicured, and the driveway is lined with imported luxury cars. Your father is a charismatic, impeccably dressed man who speaks 6 languages fluently. He looks like a diplomat, smells of expensive cologne, and spends his evenings hosting lavish dinners for guests who arrive in armored motorcades. You have a staff of 20 people, but you eventually notice that your gardeners have the distinct posture of ex-military operatives. Your private driver doesn't just open your door, he checks the undercarriage of the Mercedes with a mirror every single morning. Sometimes you are allowed to say goodnight to the guests. You walk in wearing tailored pajamas to shake hands with men in sharp suits and military uniforms adorned with medals. You don't know that the man who just ruffled your hair is a sanctioned warlord, or that the quiet man swirling his cognac is a defense minister, currently being investigated for human rights violations. They bring you gifts you are far too young to understand: solid gold watches, rare antique toys, and papers for trust funds opened in your name in Liechtenstein. Your mother never asks what the men at the dinner table are discussing. She simply drinks her white wine, smiles perfectly, and looks away. She has learned that in this house, love requires swallowing your terror in silence and setting the table anyway. On your 12th birthday, you find a $5 million post-impressionist painting hanging above your desk. It's a gift from your father to celebrate your growing maturity. That same evening, you turn on the television and see breaking news about a brutal civil war thousands of miles away. The camera pans across a dusty street where a local militia is unloading crates of rifles from an armored transport. You recognize the logo on the side of those crates. It's the same one you saw on a shipping manifest on your father's desk earlier that week. You realize the math of your life is soaked in blood. The private jets, the chateau, and the painting on your wall are all paid for by the destruction on the screen. As you enter your teenage years, your father pulls back the curtain. He doesn't say he sells weapons. He tells you he sells logistics. He sits you down in his study to explain how the machine actually works. It starts with a shipment of anti-aircraft missiles manufactured in Eastern Europe. To hide the money, the shipment is purchased by a shell company in Cyprus and insured by a firm in London. The weapons are loaded onto a vessel registered in Panama. The paperwork says the crates are full of agricultural equipment or water purification pipes, items no customs official would think to question. This relies on the end-user certificate, a document that legally states the weapons are going to a peaceful, allied government. Everyone in the room knows the cargo will be diverted to a rebel group in the middle of the ocean. Your father explains that governments don't want peace. They want proxy wars they can deny being a part of. He is simply the ghost they hire to make the deliveries. At 18, you try to leave the family name behind by enrolling at Oxford. You study art history and architecture, surrounding yourself with beauty in an attempt to distance yourself from the mechanics of the shadow economy. Then you meet someone, a student with a fierce passion for human rights. She spends her weekends protesting the very wars your father is secretly arming. Now you listen to her talk about global justice over coffee, and the guilt physically crushes your chest. You know that her innocence is the very thing your lifestyle consumes. You realize that bringing her home is impossible. Your father's security apparatus would monitor her emails and background check her family, treating her as a potential liability to be managed. You lie, telling her your family is in international shipping, but the dishonesty eventually makes the relationship collapse. You push her away to protect her from the truth. You find that whoever gets close to you simply inherits your prison. Real intimacy requires an honesty that your family can never afford. After graduation, you return to Geneva. Your father is getting older, his face lined by the stress of dodging Interpol and managing warlords. He needs you to take over the family's holding companies. You become the architect of the family's clean image. You take the hundreds of millions generated by proxy wars and wash them through luxury real estate in Dubai. You funnel the remaining blood money into tech startups in Silicon Valley, buying a veneer of legitimacy and innovation for the family name. You spend your days at charity galas, raising money for the refugees created by the conflicts your family armed. You shake the hands of politicians who privately take your contributions while publicly condemning the violence you finance. At the end of the night, you return to a hyper-secure penthouse where the silence is absolute. You stand by the windows, looking out at a world you helped destabilize. You didn't build this empire of suffering, but you have accepted the keys to it. You carry the weight of a legacy you never asked for, but now actively maintain. The security and the money haven't built a future. They've simply eroded your identity and your soul. You have become the most powerful person in the room, and yet you are completely, profoundly alone.